Okay, here we go. Welcome back to Squawk on the Street. I've got a special guest. We got Kevin Johnson. We're coming from the brand new Roastery. If you have the Wall Street Journal today, there's a fantastic ad, including a crossword puzzle. Kevin, great to see you.
Jim, thanks for being here.
All right, let's get right to it. You had a full-day meeting yesterday, and a lot of the takeaway, actually almost all the takeaway, was that you took down long-term guidance. So let's deal with that up front before we get to this fabulous story.
Yeah, so let me just frame the context of yesterday's conversation. We outlined for investors a growth at scale strategy and agenda that is driving results. In terms of the performance, you look at last fiscal year 18, we delivered 10% revenue growth and 17% growth in earnings per share. We reaffirmed FY19 guidance. We indicated that FY20 and 21 would be greater than 13% growth in EPS. And after that, we tempered the EPS growth rate to a 10% growth rate for long-term shareholder value creation. And so that's what we framed for our investors yesterday.
Okay, in the same context, I mean, here you are. I know you were an aggressive buyer of your stock. You've got so many drivers. I question the need to be able to do something like that. It's almost like what Jay Powell did with the Federal Reserve, where he just said, listen, we're going to be flying high for the next couple of years. Why bother to put a gun to your head like that?
Well, first of all, we continue to buy back our stock aggressively today. In fact, because we believe in the long-term growth agenda that we outlined for our investors yesterday. Now, over the last 4 months or so, I've met with 60 plus of our large long-term shareholders. And every one of them indicated that what they looked for was a prudent, reasonable guidance that allowed us long-term to continue to reinvest in the brand, invest in partner wage, and do the things we need to do to deliver a predictable, sustainable growth agenda for those investors.
Okay, see, let me give you the counter to you.
Yeah.
All right, you're 3,600 stores in China. It's only 150 cities. I mean, you could go to the city number 200, would still be bigger than some cities that you have maybe 50 Starbucks in. You are now doing delivery. You're getting 2 to 3 times sales when you do delivery. You got to tell me that. I do not understand why you are so downbeat in terms of what you could be doing in the out years. It's unfathomable to me, Kevin.
Well, look, we put together the growth at scale agenda acknowledging 3 things. Number one, we are building off a base of approaching 30,000 stores around the world. We are currently opening a new store somewhere in the world every 4 hours. So we are bullish on the long-term growth of that store count. Now we're dealing with a very large number. I mean, last fiscal year we posted $24.7 billion in revenue. We're growing off of that base at in a significant rate with the guidance we've provided. Second, we acknowledge that we're adapting rapidly to shifts in consumer behavior, whether it's the embrace of the digital lifestyle, whether it's more amplifying the need state of convenience, or the desire for more personalized premium experiences. We're adapting to meet our customers where they are. And then third is the acknowledgement that the competitive landscape is changing. With the large and growing addressable market of coffee. Coffee is one of the fastest growing beverage categories in the world. And so many people see that beverage category growing, and so there's new competitors. In the US, we see a lot of consolidation of those competitors, and in China, we're seeing more startups.
Okay, I want to talk about China. I always thought of China as MSD, which for the people at home is mid-single digit. I look at these numbers now. I know you have this Alibaba partnership. What the heck happened? It was 3 quarters that you went from MSD to LSD, which is how I feel.
Well, here's how you should feel. We are growing in China in the mid-teens. And we outlined that China right now is in a different stage of market development than the U.S. China is all about store expansion, new unit growth, so that we can create a first mover advantage and establish the Starbucks brand in more points of presence in cities that we're in and in more cities that we're not in. So in China, for example, we accelerated our new store builds per year to 600. So we are now opening a new Starbucks store somewhere in China on average every 15 hours. Over roughly 80% of the growth in China will continue to come from new store units versus same store comparable. Both are important, but right now China is all about establishing the brand through more points of presence in more cities.
I want to use the Roastery as a metaphor for what's going on in China. I believe that the issues with China have to do with the PRC government, not with the people. When you opened a Roastery in Shanghai, how many people have gone through it?
Well, you recall, we opened a Roastery much like this in Shanghai a year ago. And in that first year, we've had more than 1 million customer occasions in that Roastery. In fact, we opened the Milan Roastery less than 3 months ago, And just this weekend, we took a video, and there was still a line around the building completely of customers waiting to get in and see the beautiful roastery that we built in Milan.
Many of us feel that Milan is the capital of the country that likes coffee more than anyone. Not Rome, by the way, it's really Milan. When you go, you're an ambassador for the United States. What is the view? You got Italy, regarding as not as good a friend of the U.S. as it used to be, nationalist. You got China, obviously trade war. What is the feeling as you, a business ambassador going around the globe, our country, how do they look at us?
Well, first, let's talk about the fact that we just entered the market in Italy, and we waited 47 years since Starbucks was founded to enter the market in Italy, because we wanted to do it in a way that showed respect for the Italian coffee culture. We entered that market with humility and with thoughtfulness in terms of bringing that romance of coffee to life in a way that honored and respected the Italian coffee culture. Now, we do business in 78 countries around the world, 78 markets around the world. And certainly, the Starbucks mission and values are grounded in humanity. It is much about the work that we do to take care of our partners in every part of the world, that we work in service of our customers and the communities that we're a part of. So, as an ambassador of Starbucks, my role is to make sure that we continue to sort of romance and stay true to those things that built this great brand. And it is about humanity.
When I hear about things like this, when I hear about humanity, when I hear about respect for people, when I hear about the notion of globalism, I think, wow, whoever came up with that culture could make a great president. Now, someone's got 30 million shares. That man is Howard Schultz. You don't see him here. All those things you just said are an alternative, not to say, I'm not saying better or worse, to our current president. Would he make a great president?
Well, first of all, Howard, his legacy and the heritage of what he created here at Starbucks and his love of Starbucks is woven into the fabric of who we are and what we do and carry forward. Now, we're excited for Howard as he ventures on this next chapter in his life journey.
President?
Well, look, it's part of.
I think it's kind of a yes or no thing, Kev.
Well, look, I have great respect for Howard, and Howard has been one of those people that I think has done something very special in this world with what he's created in Starbucks. And I think his decision on what he wants to do next is a very personal decision, but I have great respect and affinity for Howard, and I will support him in no matter what he chooses to do.
I thank you for putting up with me and my nagging questions, and fabulous to go to the roastery. That's Kevin Johnson. Back to you guys downtown.